let's unpack this. We're diving deep today into a single source, a review of the film The Vourdalak. It's by Mary Munoz over at Moviescramble, published back on March 5th, 2024.
Right, and our mission really is to get into this review and figure out why this particular movie, wading into the, arguably done-to-death vampire genre, gets called a brilliant contribution.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many vampire stories out there. So what's the Vourdalak doing that's so different? What makes it stand out? What twists does it bring that maybe we don't expect? Let's see what the review says.
Okay, so first off, the review tells us it's based on an old novella, Alexei Tolstoy, 1839. But immediately, before plot or anything, the reviewer highlights the look of the film, the visual style.
And it sounds really distinctive, shot on 16mm film, deliberately going for that, early 1960s horror vibe. The review says dreamlike, soft focus, grainy close-ups, blurred edges, definitely not your crisp, modern digital look. Not at all. And that choice, right there, it sets a very specific mood from the start. Kind of hazy, maybe unreliable. Perfect for a horror story, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Creates an atmosphere.
And that atmosphere is apparently built on straight away. The opening has classic horror stuff. Thunder, a knock at the door.
Leading us to the initial viewpoint character, this Marquis Jacques Antoine Saturnin. He's an envoy for the King of France.
That's the one. And his trip is already going badly, lost his horses, baggage stolen. And he winds up heading for this isolated family home, the Gorchas, deep in some forest.
And there's that great detail from the review. A voice from a doorway warns him, stay on the path, the forest is dangerous. I mean, that's pure Gothic horror setup.
Totally. And a neat little observation from the reviewer, the name Gorcha sounds a bit like gorge, the French word for throat.
Ooh, nice. Subtle. A little bit ominous right from the get-go.
So he enters this strange little world, and the review really emphasizes the characters and the performances. Seems like they carry a lot of the film's weight. Yeah, sounds like it. Two main ones are highlighted. First, the Marquis himself, Durf, played by Casey Muddick-Klein.
And Klein plays him as really snobbish, bound by his status, his manners, completely appalled by the family's, simple life.
Right. And the reviewer actually found it funny, described him prancing and leaping like a startled deer when things get weird. So, some dark comedy mixed in.
Seems like it. But Klein is also praised for using his hugely expressive eyes, especially in those grainy close-ups, so you see the shock and unease under the fancy exterior.
That's layers. Okay. And the other key performance.
That's Stenka, played by Ariane Lebed. She's described as genuinely haunted, maybe by a lost love. Someone who seems to almost enjoy being dangerously on the precipice.
And the review raves about her physicality. Phenomenal physicality, it says. Every sinew of her body undulates with terror. That's vivid language for scenes like praying or dancing.
Yeah, it suggests a very intense physical performance. Plus, this detail about her eyes being ringed with brown liner, always searching. Sounds like the acting is really crucial here, conveying a lot non-verbally.
Definitely sounds like it.
Okay, now, this is where the review suggests things get really interesting. The main threat. The vampire, the Vourdalak, is a puppet.
Hold on. A puppet? In a serious horror film? That sounds risky. How does that even work?
Well, according to the review, it absolutely works. It entirely pays off. They call the puppetry incredible. So this isn't meant to be goofy. It's a deliberate artistic choice.
Wow. Okay. So how's it introduced?
It's a slow reveal as the patriarch Gorcha transforms. The reviewer calls watching it unfold an utter delight, which is an interesting phrase for a horror movie.
Huh. And the puppet itself, what does it look like?
Described like a corpse brought back. Teeth sticking out, eyes sunk deep, cheekbones like flint. Sounds genuinely unsettling.
And the director does the voice. Rich. Velvety.
Yeah, but here's the key thing. The review stresses that, despite being a puppet, it's presented as a credible threat. The family is genuinely terrified, completely in its grip.
So taking something artificial like a puppet and making it truly scary through performance, framing, atmosphere, that's a bold move.
Oh, a really bold swing, yeah.
And that boldness apparently carries over into the vampire rules, or maybe the lack of them. The review says the film largely rejects the usual rules.
Totally. This isn't Dracula hiding from the sun. Monsieur Gorcha, the Vourdalak, is up and walking about in the daytime.
In the daytime, okay. What else?
He appears to be eating his meals, and he can see his reflection in the water.
Wait, so Sunlight's fine, mirrors are fine, he can eat food. That throws out like half the standard vampire playbook.
Pretty much. Now, the review does mention things like stakes and neck biting exist in this world, so it's not a total rewrite. But the
Hmm.
defining rules are different, and the biggest one, the most fascinating one the reviewer highlights,
Yeah.
is that this Vourdalak can only feed on those he truly loves.
Whoa. Oh, okay. Only those he loves. Not strangers, not enemies,
Hmm.
but his own family, the people he cares about.
Exactly. That completely flips the script, doesn't it? It makes the predation deeply personal, almost intimate in a horrifying way.
And it seems like the film leans heavily on its style and sensory details beyond just the plot points, like the costumes, called striking.
Yeah, and the reviewer connects this to the director's background with fashion houses, which makes sense. Each character's outfit sounds like its own little visual story reflecting their inner state.
So you've got the Marquis in his, like, out-of-place powder and wig.
Right, and Stenka in robes and jewelry that might suggest both elegance and being trapped. Pyotr with some color, Anja looking very pious. The review uses the word glorious for the detailing.
Even the violence fits the style. The deaths are relatively gruesome, but hyper-stylized, lots of bright red blood.
Flashing of postbox red blood, yeah. So it sounds visually heightened, not necessarily gritty realism.
But the reviewer found something else the most creepy. Not visual.
A sound, the noise the Vourdalak makes, slabbering and sucking on its burial robe.
Oh, ugh, that just sounds inherently unpleasant.
Described as a wet, sloshing noise, something that's both annoying and a warning sign. Using sound like that, taking something potentially mundane, and making it skin-crawling, that's smart horror design.
Okay, so pulling all these threads together, the style, the puppet, the weird rules, the performances, the sound, what's the reviewer's final take?
The bottom line is a truly stunning work of art.
High praise. The stylization, the framing, the costumes, all creating something genuinely fascinating to look at.
Add in those stellar hyper-physical performances we talked about and that very daring kind of threat with the puppet.
And yeah, the conclusion is it's a brilliant contribution to the genre, an absolute must-see. Sounds like a film that really went for it artistically.
It really does. So looking back at our deep dive into just this one review, you can see the elements that make it stand out, right? That deliberate, old-school visual style.
The incredibly bold, maybe even risky choice of a puppet vampire that apparently works.
The way it messes with the established vampire lore, especially that really unsettling rule about only feeding on loved ones.
And how things like costumes and that specific creepy sound design all add up to create a unique whole.
And for you, listening, wanting to find those aha moments in film or art, looking closely at why something gets praised like this is so revealing. It shows how, even in a genre you think you know inside out, like vampire horror,
There's still room for genuine innovation if creators are willing to take big swings with the core concepts, the rules, the whole aesthetic. It's
Well,
about finding a unique voice.
exactly. It shows creativity isn't just about brand new ideas, but also about twisting familiar ones in compelling ways. And it leaves you with a pretty provocative thought, doesn't it? Based on that core rule.
A love thing.
Yeah. If a monster, a Vourdalak, is defined by its monstrosity, yet it's bound by love, only able to harm those it cares for, what does that actually say about the nature of that monstrosity? Is love itself twisted into a weapon? Or is the monster somehow trapped, its threat defined by its deepest connections? Definitely something interesting to chew on as you think about stories and how they play with our expectations.